Well, you walked our entire leadership team here at Ramsey through an awesome exercise around personal brand for leaders. And the foundation of that exercise is your unique beliefs and convictions. Why do you start there?
Well, it's really important because you need to understand what matters the most, because everything has to branch out from that. When you don't really pay attention to it, then you're going to just start floating with the wind. And we don't trust people who sway with the wind. We don't trust those kind of people. We respect the people who know what they stand for and that their actions reflect that. And another reality, though, is that if you are just living life, but the way that you're living, your actions aren't reflecting what actually matters, you end up with a ton of stress and anxiety. And if you don't really pay attention, you don't even know why you're stressed and anxious. But it's because you're not living in the flow of what really matters. You're going against it. You're going against that grain. And you don't want to do that, and especially as a leader, because we have a hard time following leaders like that.
So we've got to be aligned with who we are, what actions we take, and then what people out there, our team, our customers are seeing in light of all of that. But if you don't know who you are, then you have nothing to base all of that off of.
Exactly, yeah.
That's
like I
good.
said, you don't want to sway with the wind.
So what are some ways a leader expresses their convictions through their personal brand? Because there's a lot of $10 kind of words in there. What does that look like in reality for a leader?
Well, I know Tim Tebow, he was talking a lot about emotion and the difference between emotion and conviction. I'm so glad he talked about that, because there is a big difference. We live 98% of our life in emotion. Did you know that?
I didn't. Is that science?
Yeah. There are two different parts of the brain. There's an experiential part of the brain, and there's a logical part of the brain. And we only live in that logical part for 2% of our life, because it takes a lot of work to do.
It makes sense why we make so many terrible decisions.
It does. But that's the thing. If we're living all in emotion, just like Tim was talking about, your emotions are going to change all the time, but we react. Like when you're a baby, you have emotions. You're able to take stuff in. You're not really using logic yet, But as we get adults, we understand to use logic. But conviction, if you pay attention to your conviction, it takes logic to understand what that stuff is. But if you're living by emotion only without understanding that logic, then you are going to change depending on where your emotions go. And so the key is understanding what are your convictions, and then understanding how to get your emotions to respond correctly based on those convictions. And that's what you have to figure out how to do. You have to figure out how to take this is what matters and do the actions that reflect it, but there are systems you can put in place that make your emotions respond correctly. And it's important that you do that, and it's important that you do that to express it in a way where people understand your convictions through your actions.
So my takeaway here is, babies, get some conviction. All right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, come on, babies. What's wrong with y'all?
That's powerful to have that foundation there and then do the hard work of actually living that out to reflect it.
Yeah.
So the best brands, the best leaders I can think of, they're very clear on where they stand and who they are, what their convictions are, their values. Why do you think that our teams, our customers are drawn to that level of clarity?
Because when you know your convictions and you express them through your actions, you look like you are decisive, you look like you are clear, you look like you have very clear vision of the direction that we are going. And as people on a team following somebody, we want to know that our leader knows exactly where they're going. And we know that our leader is not going to sway or fall based on things that are going on in the world. I like working here because I know what we stand for, and I've been so proud that we stand firmly for those things. I've seen a lot of companies sway with the culture and crazy things that are going on, but we have stand firm for it because we know our convictions. We know what we believe. I know what Dave believes. I know what we're doing out here. And I trust that, and I follow that. But we look decisive. We look clear in our vision, and we all know where we're going because of those convictions.
Yeah, that's a powerful reminder. And Dave Ramsey is a great example of that. Our friend Donald Miller, he says, if you confuse, you lose. Yeah. And that our brains are just craving that clarity. I mean, you get frustrated on a website because it doesn't make sense, or you're reading a book or whatever it is. And so our brains just want to understand what it is to make sure that we're aligned with it.
Yeah.
And that causes a lot of happy customers, right?
Yeah,
we know where Chick-fil-A stands.
Yeah.
And so we're happy to go there, and we're going to get a consistent experience because of their convictions.
Yeah, and that's really important you say consistent. Consistent is a very key word. When you know your convictions, you know how to be consistent, and we trust the people who are consistent. We don't trust the people who we don't know what they're going to be like the next day.
Yeah.
But you don't know if your convictions, your emotions are going to make you change all the time, and there's no consistency, which equals lack of trust.